All right, so case 2 is a little different. So instead of plus plus, we have minus plus. And very specifically, the second one being positive. If the second one is positive, that means either both of the values are positive or both are negative. In this case, if the second one is positive and the first one's negative, that means these are both negative. So let me give you an example of this. If we have x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So if we have that situation, and you can see here, this one's positive, but this one's negative. Now to factor it, again, we're gonna write it like this, right? So that's x, that's x. In this case, if this is positive, that means they're the same sign. Either they're both negative or they're both positive. In this case, if this is positive and this is negative, that means they're both negative. So what we're looking for now is two numbers multiplied together that give us 12 that add together to give us 7. So we have 12 times 1 equals 12. We have 6 times 2 is equal to 12. And we have 4 times 3 is equal to 12. So 12 times 1 is 12, but 12 plus 1 is 13. We're looking for 7. 6 times 2 is 12, but 6 plus 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 plus 3 is in fact 7. So there's our two numbers, 4 and 3. We're going to set those equal to 0. And that means x minus 4 equal to 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0. And so again, this is add 4 to both sides. That's x equals 4. Or add 3 to both sides. This is x equals to 3. And so there's our solution to this. Make sure you get to the solution. Don't just factor, but get to the solution. And so in case 2, if the first one is negative and the second one is positive. So written in standard form, x squared, where a is positive. In this case, a is 1, you can see. B is minus 7, and C is a positive 12. If this one's positive, we're going to multiply two numbers together that get this number, that add together to give us this number, and we take the sign from here. So in this case, 4 times minus 3 is a positive 12. You see that? Minus 4 times minus 3 is positive 12. So the FOIL and FOIL method, the L for last, is the last two items. That gives us positive 12. But minus 4x minus 3x gives me minus 7x. And so that's how to do that one. Now, cases 3 and 4, they take on just a slightly different approach. Instead of adding these numbers together, we're going to take the difference between the two numbers. So in this case, we were doing them in cases 1 and 2. We were finding the two numbers that multiply together, they give us the final C. And then we were finding what numbers add together to give us that middle number B. In this case, we're going to do the opposite. This is a situation where case 3 and 4 look like the following. So case 3 is a situation where we have a positive negative setup. And in that case, for instance, if I have something like this, x squared plus 4x minus 12 is equal to 0. And if the question is solved by factoring, so the first thing we're going to do is this. And the second thing we're going to do is x and x. And then the third thing we're going to do is we have a minus sign there. That means one is, if that one's minus, that means one's positive, one's negative. So we know that already. It's a plus and a minus. So we need two numbers that multiply together to give us 12, whose difference is 4. So we can do 12 times 1 is equal to 12. We can do 6 times 2 is equal to 12. And 4 times 3 is equal to 12. So now let's take a look. 12 times 1 is 12. 12 minus 1 is 11, not 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 minus 2 is 4. That's the one we're looking for. This is the one we're looking for. That one right there. So we need a 6 and a 2. Now, there's a 6 and a 2. The bigger one will be positive because this is positive. If this were a negative 4x, we would put the 6 as a negative because the bigger number would be negative. So 6 and 2, the bigger of the two, 6, will be positive. And so there's our solution set then, is x equals minus 6, or x is equal to positive 2. So there's our solution set for that one. Now the other case is very similar to this one. In that case 4 looks like this. We have a minus and a minus. And so this is case 3. Over here I'm going to work case 4. So case 4 would be something like this. X squared minus 5x minus 14 equals 0. Now again, this is negative. So we know the signs are not going to match. We're going to get x plus x minus. But in this case, the minus sign will produce the bigger number. So watch, 14. What do we do to get 14? Well, 14 could be 14 times 1 is 14, or 7 times 2 is equal to 14. 14 minus 1 is 13. This is a 5, not 13. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 minus 2 is 5. So there's our numbers, 7 and 2. But now we need to decide which one's positive, which one's negative. Since the minus 5 here, since it's a minus sign here, the bigger of the two is the negative. So that's the 7, and that leaves this is the 2, and this is equal to 0. So this means that x plus 2 equals 0, or x minus 7 equals 0. So you can see there that if that's the case, x equals minus 2, or x equals 7. So there's our solution to those. So that's how you do cases 3 and 4. And now what we want to do is move from these 4 specific factoring cases now back to the broader application of the quadratic formula, where what if I can't factor, how do I solve that? And so that's what we're going to do in this last piece, is use the quadratic equation to solve when we have the standardized form, but it doesn't factor out well. So that's what we're going to do next.